I read or saw a podcast thing the other day with Joe Rogan, and he was talking to some social science guy about depression. It was quite interesting what they were saying. And the social science guy says if you go to the doctor, most doctors throughout the world, even in today's kind of times, will tell you that depression is like a chemical imbalance in the brain, and that's why most people are depressed. He said what it's interesting is that it actually kind of just blocks out and ignores everything else in your life. And if you look at a person's sort of life, you can actually like pinpoint what it is that's the factor that is giving them that depressed feeling. It's almost saying that there are quite big aspects of depression that are like a social thing. Now that's social as in what we do with our lives, not social as in meeting people, that kind of social thing. And it was very interesting. He mentioned that if you just accept it, or if you just look at it like it's a chemical thing, and you try and fix that with the drugs, you're not fixing the potential cause or the problem to the depression, you're almost trying to mask it. When I think about myself in that situation, I look back at that kind of a year ago video or whatever it was, where I just kind of put everything out there, it's almost like I actually was telling myself the things that I needed, or need even, to work on. The things that I feel are bringing me down and bumming me out. The things like my work situation, my living situation, and literally everything really that I spoke about in that video. It's a case of if I can address those things, in theory, I should start to feel sort of less and less depressed. And I think that that is probably true when you start to look at things like from an outside perspective. When I had the weeks, when I had the plan for October, when I had the weeks that I was like busy, when I was focused, when I was busy, I felt like I had purpose. I felt like I had, something to do and drive. I, within myself, felt more okay. And while I agree there was other areas that weren't so great, you can only sometimes work on one thing at a time. So being able to work on little areas that you can kind of have a little bit of control over, or realize that you can swing the balance in your favor by working on these little things, these little areas that can help you. It made me think that potentially there's a lot more, well, obviously there's a lot more to depression than just some chemical imbalance that's caused by whatever. It's more to the life itself. It's more to what we do, who we are, what we want in life, and where we're at for it. And sometimes where you are is the depressive factor because of where you see things. Now, obviously, the real battle is how do you get from where you are to where you want to be? Sometimes that can be a fun motivator. Sometimes that can drive people and really push them to keep pushing to achieve and keep moving themselves forwards. And sometimes it feels like if you're there long enough and you feel stagnant, nothing's going my way, that's where the depression starts to seep in. You get more influences from the outside world. You have more, you notice more of where other people are at. Like with my friends and stuff, I notice where they are versus where I am, and I know you shouldn't compare. But if you take into account that social side of things, where it's the situation of my life that I'm in that makes me feel a bit out of sorts, then it kind of makes a little bit of sense. So I guess what I'm saying is, for anybody out there who feels a bit, down or whatever, in a way it's like write down what it is that you're feeling and maybe why it is that you feel like that. So it's on paper that you maybe be able to address. I feel like this because financial situation, I feel like this because relationship situation, I feel like this because, you know, whatever it might be. It could be something really small, but it could play its part. And then once you have that written down, once you have it visually in front of you, hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully, you can think rationally and maybe look at ways to work towards making those situations different. And I think that is a problem in some ways, because most people want a solution yesterday for those problems, and reality isn't like that. I myself am finding that out. I've applied for a couple of courses. They are free courses, they're government funded courses, and they're, oh, we'll get back to you in 72 hours. And I'm still waiting, and it's been a week, and I'm still waiting and waiting and waiting. But with it dragging its heels, it's frustrating. So I don't really know. It feels like everything that I'm trying to do to actually put myself in a decent direction is slowed down by things outside of my control. Which comes back to what I was saying before about when we're trying to fix the problems, things take time and things aren't always in our control, which can make fixing the problem seem really stressful and actually add to the depression or the state of mind rather than relieve it. So it is a tricky one, but I did find it very interesting, actually. I did find it very interesting about this guy speaking to Joe Rogan saying it's not always a chemical imbalance. You have to look at the factors outside and address those factors. And it's the same as trying to put, what is it, like a bandage over a broken leg. It's going to do so much. I mean, you know, probably a wrong analogy, but you know what I'm saying? You're putting something to patch up the effect of the problem rather than dealing with the cause. If you deal with the cause, then the effect should hopefully just and all will be well. But I don't know. I just found it interesting. It's kind of given me a different way to look at things, really. Have fun.